Hey, what's up everyone? This is AlphaFinx here, and I decided to make a little video here of Rome Total War 2. Now, Creative Assembly is putting twice as much money into this game as they have been into their other games, and it's looking really good. So I've seen a lot of videos. I want to condense it, put them all together into one, and show you guys the action and what the new features are. So here we go. I want to start off here by looking at how cool this game looks right here. The graphics look great and all. Now check this out when the cavalry actually go, the chariots go into the enemy troops and how much it pushes them out of the way like crazy. Right there, and you can also see now we have to do a little cavalry charge, and the whole thing they're talking about here is cavalry weight, the weight of the units. So they want to have it where the units, just as you can see there, go into the other opposing force, into their formation, and really break into it. And it's not just one line fighting one line. Now this isn't just the cavalry units in the game, it's actually all the units. So if you're going up against light infantry with your heavy infantry, they're going to push more into the enemy than an enemy would be able to push more into you because of the weight of the troops. So it's a cool little feature and a little bit more depth to the gameplay that you're getting here. They also have these, I think you hit insert and you can go to this cam where it's like you're down in the action. You can actually watch what happens, you know, as your troops are fighting in the battle, which is a pretty cool view. And right there you can see the devastation that it causes. And it's really about causing disruption, and that's why, you know, not all those guys die when they fly back like that, but it causes disruption. It ruins their formation. So here we got some elephants, and elephants are always fun to use, and you can see right here why. They just barrel through all these Roman troops right here. It's pretty cool. This is the Battle of the Nile, the Egyptians versus the Romans. Now let's take a look at the campaign map a little bit. As you can see right here, we're over Egypt, and I like how they actually designed all of the different buildings and everything to look like it is from that area. So now you're in Africa here, you know, you're in a Middle Eastern type setting, and the actual places look more like that. Right there you can see the Library of Alexandria, and you have the Pyramids of Giza there. And those actually offer benefits to your civilization. And they said that the Hanging Gardens of Babylon and Stonehenge, all those were going to be in there. So it sounds like the 7 ancient wonders of the world are going to be in the game, and they're going to give boost to your civilization if you control that territory, which is a pretty cool feature as well. Now they have the camels here too, and that shows what kind of units you can recruit in that area. I remember going from playing medieval Total War to playing the 3D map on Rome Total War, and it was crazy. It was jarring how much, you know, of a difference that was. And now I like how they're building these cities up now, and you can see here how the city works. It's a huge area now. It's not just a little box that's like a little sprite that's on your screen. You actually have a huge city, and you can expand this city. And it looks like when you have a certain population or something, you can see a number in the top left corner on that little box that pops up. And then he's able to expand to another expansion slot, and then you can build more stuff in that area, such as like a shrine to Mars or something like that. Each of these areas with a city in it is considered a region, and all of these regions are grouped into provinces. So you have 3 or 4 regions, and it's grouped into one province. If you control that province, if you control all the territories, then you can do edicts, which gives your civilization a buff in that area, which is a nice little feature. Each of the armies on the campaign map actually have 3 different stances that they can do. They can do ambush, raid, or forced march. In forced march, they actually move twice as far on a turn, but they cannot initiate a battle. On ambush mode, they can go and lay an ambush anything that comes in their range of attack. And it's a surprise attack, and it gets the enemy off guard. And when they raid, they can steal the resources from whatever territory they're in and use it to lower their upkeep costs, so you don't have to pay as much to upkeep them. But that does hurt the relations with whatever territory they're in, including your own. Here you can see the Suebi, the German faction starting location, and as you can see, it's very different from the Egyptian one. It's a whole different feel to it. You're in the woods here. The houses are different, the walls are different, they're very different than the Egyptians. Now, a lot of people were saying, you see here these cards that represent the different units that are in your army. And a lot of people said they don't like them, but Creative Assembly wanted to go with something that was a part of the time period, so they went with that kind of style right there, and they said they're going to stick with it. Now in Rome 2, you're actually limited on how many armies you can have, and that's actually based on how many territories you control, and each army has to have a general. Oh, and I forgot, there's actually another stance that you can put your units in. You can do the fortify stance, and if you're playing as Rome, that gives you a little fort that you get to defend if anybody tries to attack you. If you're playing as another faction, such as the Germans here, then you get some deployables that you can put out before, you know, the actual battle starts. Now this is a Suebi right in the beginning of the game here, so we're going to see how it looks to expand their city right here and get another build slot, which is right here, and how it's a little bit different than the other one that we saw. And it actually expands in different directions. You don't really control that, the game just takes it in a different direction, whichever one it wants. Now the cities, you can actually, once you take over a city, you can peacefully occupy, you can loot, or you can raise the city. And you could also enslave some of the population. So when you enslave them, like the Romans go and they enslave some of the population of another city that they just took, it increases their economy. course, if they get too many slaves, then it could cause uprisings in their own territory. If you control a region, you can do the edicts, which you can see right here on the screen right there, and it shows you the different buffs that you can get to that entire territory from performing one of these edicts. And I just love all these features that they're adding to the game to make it more immersive, to make you just draw you into the game experience. There's actually going to be around 700 units in this game, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't like playing some of the other ones like Shogun. I just felt like it was a bunch of clones fighting each other on the battlefield. This one seems to be a lot different. They actually have different tech trees for each civilization, which is just another way that they're making it feel different, look different, fight different, which is pretty cool. And now let's take a look at the campaign map. Here you can see all the different factions on the board on the large campaign map. There's actually 117 factions in the game, 12 of which are playable if you did the pre-order and got the Greek city-states. In the beginning of the campaign, you only see the adjacent territories. You actually have to run into the other civilizations to find out where they are and to deal with them. Now let's head back over to some battle footage right here, and here we can see, you know, again the Egyptians in the Battle of the Nile. And you can see the large ballista they have there, and the different units. They got camel units, and right here you see some of the deployables. They actually have, there's balls that are covered with wheat. I think they're stone covered with wheat, they said. And you light them on fire, and it's one of the deployables you can do if you're in a fortified position and the enemy comes to attack you. So what's going to happen here is the enemy's going to come up the hill, and you can release these, and as they go down the hill they pick up momentum, and we can see right here. And you gotta be careful. I think some of the guys actually die. You see them, they get knocked down when they light the things. But look at this going towards the Roman lines here. Right through the Roman lines. That's pretty sick looking right there. And it's also, you know, there's a chance involved in it. But it does do some devastation when it actually hits. Look at that right there. Now in this video it looks like it's the ambush where the troops are still in the marching formation. The guys that's doing the ambush, you can actually go and set your troops where you want, and the guys that are falling into the ambush, they're still in the line formation as if they were marching, and they can't, you know, get ready for the onslaught in any way. And these things look pretty devastating when they actually hit. I mean, you can just wipe out a whole column of units there. Look at that. I mean, some of them get up again, but still, it's a, you know, you hit them with that and then you charge them with some troops. That's a pretty big attack there. Now here we're going to see it from the other perspective, from the Romans as it's coming down. Now if you look, you know, you can try and move the guys out of the way, but you got to be quick. Unfortunately, he was not quick enough right there, and he lost a lot of his horses. Now before, I saw an interesting unit on the campaign map right here, and this is the champion. And I also heard them talk about scouts and dignitaries. So the champion here, you can actually attach him into an army, and it makes them gain XP faster than it normally would. Or you can use it to demoralize the enemy. So there's a couple different features you can do with this one. It also moves more than the standard army would move on the campaign map. There was also some ballista on the battles I didn't really get much footage of before, so I want to take a look at it here. Here you can see it's shooting off to the left over there with the ballista. And here we get a close-up of the Romans. Now look at the detail on these soldiers right here. I mean, this has come so far from the old Rome to the new Rome 2 Total War. I mean, the graphics look really good, and I can't wait to try and max this out. So now let's see what happens when they start marching, you know, towards their death, you know, towards these ballista. And you can see, boom, right there, just takes out, oh, look at how many guys are knocked down from that. Now, they did say that it doesn't kill everybody that is knocked down, but it does, you know, knock them down and disrupt the formation. So it is pretty devastating. Now that they've combined land and sea battles, you have a lot of stuff going on the screen at once. So sometimes you have to zoom out, and they have this new option right here. You can see, you can look at the whole map and you can see exactly what's going on. You can zoom into a particular location. You could actually see the shots from the ballista firing right there, which is pretty cool too. And then you just zoom in where you need to. Now this is one of the big features here, are these capture points. And originally nobody knew what was going on with them. They're like, are there capture points in every single battle now? What's going on? Well, it's not in every battle, but it is in a few of the different ones that you can do. And right there you can see a visual representation of the units ranking up, which I thought was pretty cool. Now these capture points like this is going to be on a land and sea battle, because you don't want some guy just taking his ships out into the sea in the corner and you won't be able to get to him because you have no ships left. So that was one option. Another time that they use this, when you're fighting against a city, a fortified city, you know, you have 3 different capture points within the city that you can go to. And they did that because in the past games, people would just go straight, you know, to the center of the city, and you'd have, like, you know, 1,000 units just all circling in the center, and it kind of took away the realism of it. And they want to make it more dynamic, and they want you to be able to attack from different points and still achieve a victory, rather than putting all your troops just right in that center area. When you're zoomed in on the capture point, you can see the little flag that goes up and down. When you're zoomed out, you can actually see a little symbol there that's filling with red, and that shows you, you know, if you're losing your territory or not. It reminds me of like the Battlefield games where you had the territories, and you could also see it when you're zoomed out on the farthest map. They're also going to have these points when you catch somebody that's in a forced march or something like that, and it's going to represent their baggage train, and they have to protect it with all their supplies and everything. So if you get that capture point, you end up winning the battle when they're in the forced march. So it's another dynamic to make it so that you don't want to be caught in a forced march. It makes it harder for you to win. And for the last bit of it here, let's get a nice little close-up here so you could actually see what happens when the Romans are taking the position from the Egyptians. Here you can see the flag is winding down right here. That's the Egyptian flag, and soon it's going to change over into the Roman flag, and that represents that they're taking control. And then once that gets to the top, they will win the battle right there. No matter what's going on and anywhere else on the map, you know, if they get this point, that's it. Another cool feature that this game has is a little Tostito formation here, and you can see it going in right here. Protects the guys from the arrows. You know, you go into this formation, you march towards the enemy troops as you're getting, you know, the arrows just raining down on these guys. And then once they get close, they automatically open up and go and engage the enemy. And if they had any of their spears left, they would have thrown them beforehand as they were running. They didn't want to make it too easy playing the Romans, so they decided to throw in a little politics, because you got to have a little bit of politics when you're running a big empire, right? So now you have the three different family members here. It's like the main families that you can choose in the beginning when you're starting out. You can choose whichever one you want. And what happens is, depending on how you do in the campaign, certain families get more or less political power. And what you want to do is you have to be able to stop them from having a civil war against you if you're too powerful. So right here, you're going to see the person, you know, they have an option. They can support them, or they can execute, they can assassinate them. So if somebody's giving you trouble in the Roman Senate, you know, you don't want to politics, you know, cause any problems for you. You go and you can assassinate your opponents. So that's what we're going to see done here. And it adds just another layer of depth to the gameplay here, and something else you got to think about while you're playing. So there's a lot of different things that you always got to be aware of what's going on so that you can really excel in the campaign. Now, we did see some of the other factions did have, you know, like a leader and, you know, a prince or king, and there's different government types. You know, in Macedon they have one government type, Carthage and Rome is different. So I'm not sure about the other ones, exactly how that's going to play out if you play the campaign as them, but we did see this right here with the Romans and how this is going to affect the game right here. Another very large part of the game I didn't show any footage from is the naval battles, the sea, how the ships interact with each other, how the ships interact with the troops on land. So right here you can see that it's basically, you know, the ships of the time period, a lot of them, they have the artillery pieces on them, but they also can go and ram the enemy ships. They can also go and board the enemy ships. So it's similar to some of the older games besides the ramming. I haven't really seen, you know, when I was playing Empire Total War, they didn't have ramming on the ships. But this looks pretty cool right here. The graphics look great, and it's going to be, you know, originally I thought it would have some ridiculous computer to be able to get all this stuff on screen at once, but it seems like they've got the specs down where any computer could kind of be able to get by on this. And here we're going to see the perfect situation where the ships are getting lined up just right, perfect for a ram right here. The one Roman ship's already taken damage, and here comes the Egyptian flagship with all its might, all its power, full steam ahead, goes right into the Roman ship and breaks it in half. And that was pretty cool. You know, the first time I saw that, I was like, that was awesome. You know, I love seeing stuff like that. I get too excited about the game, you know. You can see all the detail here of the troops on the actual ships as they're running around, you know, doing whatever they do on a ship. And, you know, they talked about they're going to have different kinds of ships, but, you know, they didn't really go into depth on that. So I guess we're just going to have to wait until the actual game comes out, and we're going to see, you know, all the different ship types. I'd be hoping that they'd have different ships for the different areas, sort of like they had in Empire, you know, with the Indians versus the, you know, like the British. They had different style ships. Now here you see once they ram, the Roman troops actually start boarding the Egyptian vessel here. It's a bit glitchy there, but this is an early build. But you can see, you know, that once the ships get together, those troops can start boarding. And one of the crazy things is you got to keep going with all this stuff that's over here on the naval scene, and you got a battle being fought on land over there. So you have to keep track of everything that's going on at once. And one big, huge feature here, if you can wipe out the enemy ships, or if you just want to go straight to land like they're doing here, you can go and land all those troops on land and use them as reinforcements for your main force that's on land. And, you know, you could just leave the enemy ships out there. Since this player wants to disembark all the ships, he's going to send 2 of them just to hold up the Egyptian navy so that they can't go and attack the Roman fleet as they're disembarking. So he's just going to kind of sacrifice those 2 units. And sometimes now when you click one ship, there's actually 2 of them will be together, I noticed on this. So I guess, you know, when you recruit one, it's actually recruiting 2 of these ships in reality. So here are the guys going for the suicide mission to hold off the enemy. And then you have the troops disembarking on land over on the left, and it's going to go back to the main battle here. They're about to get off on the land here. And you can see all the little guys just hopping off the ships, getting ready to fight. Taking a closer look at one of the armies now, we can see, the area effect that they have. And let's look at the actual traits and traditions that the different armies have now that, is a little bit different than in previous games here. So if you click on the details, you could actually see the unit details. And let's zoom in here so that we get a closer look. And you can see the different traditions that each army ends up getting. So this one, there's 3 different ones on here already. The actual army, you can see right here, it actually ranks up over time. And whenever you want, you can go in here and check this. And you can see in that little section on the left, it's all the battles that it's fought. And it looks like if you're looking at what the effects here are, the traditions, it's actually, one seems to be for siege, one seems to be for attack. And then the last one actually seems to be for, like, units that are on defense or just staying in your home territory that you want to be a strong defensive unit. So it's a nice little feature that you get to, like, keep buffing your army. And what happens is when your army dies, if it's wiped out completely, you can, say this is the 5th Legion, you can go and raise the 5th Legion again, and it'll still have all of these traditions intact. So you won't have to go and start over from scratch, which is pretty nice. You won't just lose everything when your army actually dies. There are 10 different slots here for the traditions, so you can go and you can make the the most general army you want, and you can have 10 different kinds of traditions, or you can go and get a couple of traditions and you can rank each of those up an additional 3 times. So if you want your guy just to be all heavy infantry and upgrade them as much as possible, you pick the heavy infantry one and you upgrade it another 3 times. After you've looked at your traditions, you can check out your battles, you can go to your emblem, change your emblem, and you can also, I've seen another video, change the name to what you want the name to be. So once you do that, you can click on your general tab and check out how the general is doing. Now the general upgrades skills just like the army can upgrade skills through experience. And you see now the experience bar is related to Julius Caesar here. As you gain experience, you're able to level up these skills, and there's also traits listed here. And it's just like in past games, if the guy just sat around, never fought in a battle, he'd become like a drunkard or something like that. So if you're fighting a lot of battles, you're going to get like, intense battle statistics, you're going to have better traits for battle, maybe boosts to your troops in battle. So different things happen based on how you're playing with the guy. And I also noticed this gravitas rating that's on the bottom left there. And I think that's because these guys that are the generals are actually like faction leaders and heirs to the throne. So it seems like that has something to do with the political capital that they have, is the gravitas right there. I'm not exactly sure how that plays out though. Another feature they're trying to bring back from Roman Total War, from Medieval Total War, is the ability to go and hire mercenaries. So now you see he's getting ready for a battle, and he's doing exactly what I used to do in the campaigns. You just fill up your army to the brink with as many mercenaries as you can afford right there. I used to always do that, and I would go and fight my battle, and then I'd disband them so I wouldn't have the huge upkeep costs. But here you can see you actually get to hire the units that would normally be built in whatever territory you're in. So here, there's camel archers or elephants or something like that. It always has to do with the territory that you're recruiting them in. They also try to add some stuff to the diplomacy in the game. So here you can see, you can actually, you have a list of the factions, and it tells you, if they hate you or if they love you, and it gives you a little bit more information as to why. If you take your army and you leave it in their faction's territory, that's going to start to get them angry, and it's going to ruin your relations with them. So you can actually look at this and you can see, how you can improve or what's causing problems between the different factions, and that makes it easier to know to do trade and to make alliances. I always felt that system could use a little bit of improvement, so it's nice to see that they're actually trying to address it in this game. In another video, we also saw that they're adding some visual cues to that campaign map, which is pretty cool. I know in Empire Total War, when they had the fire spewing out of the city after it got raided, that's just a pretty cool thing to see on the map, and it makes you feel more immersed in the game. Here you can see there's white confetti, and that actually means there's a population buff going on in that city or town. There's also gold confetti if you're making a lot of money in the town, and red confetti if it's a troop buff. So it's just another little feature in there that you can see from all the cities in the game. Bringing up your screen right now is the campaign loadout menu. So this is where you choose your factions right here. I think from the start I'm going to choose the Romans, and then maybe move to the Iceni as my second faction I'm going to try out. I want to play as the British. I know everybody has, there's certain factions that they like to use. I think that pretty much wraps up everything I wanted to throw into this video. Keep in mind that this is pre-build, so it might change before the game is actually launched. But I hope you guys saw a lot of features that you liked. Thank you guys for watching. This is AlphaFinx. Have a good one. I'm out.